Who among us, if given the possibility, wouldn't take an extra hour in the day or an extra day in the week? Hi, my name's John Beeson. Welcome to the Bee Hive. We stuff life to the fullest and then we sprinkle more on top. Why put your kid in one club when you can put them in a club and a sport? Why follow one sport when you can follow all the major sports? Why be smart when you can be smart and healthy? Our flesh tempts us to pack more in. Jesus tells us to live with single priority. In his book, Essentialism, Greg McKeown notes that the word priority came into the English language in the 1400s. It was singular. It meant the very first or prior thing. It stayed singular for the next 500 years. Only in the 1900s did we pluralize the term and start talking about priorities. In our biannual staff reviews, we ask staff members to state no more than 3 or 4 priorities for them in the upcoming quarter. I chuckle at how few are able to limit themselves to 3 or 4. McKeown would chuckle that we have 3 or 4 to begin with. Of course, Jesus made the point about singularity of purpose in the Sermon on the Mount. No one can serve 2 masters, Jesus said. For he will either hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. Richard Foster clarified, when Jesus said that no one can serve 2 masters, he did not mean that it was unwise to serve 2 masters, but that it was impossible. And while Jesus applied the constraint to money, you cannot serve God in money, let us not be confused. The statement is true about everything. We cannot serve 2 masters. In fact, Jesus also addresses singularity in his preceding comment. The eye is the lamp of the body. So, if your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. In the King James Version, if your eye is healthy is translated, if your eye is single. Health and singularity are connected in ancient thinking. The ancient metaphor healthy eye or single eye has layered nuance not captured by English. Dan Doriani states this. He says, it refers both to a single aim in life and to a generous, unselfish spirit. The 2 eyes have such a close connection in the Hebrew mind that they can be expressed in a single phrase. Singleness of purpose toward God and the generosity of spirit are twins. The single eye is contrasted with the evil eye, which in Hebraic thought is synonymous with selfishness, jealousy, covetousness, and envy. John Stott summarizes this way. Just as the eye affects our whole body, so our ambition, where we fix our eyes and heart, affects our whole life. In colloquial Western language, Jesus says, examine your heart. Are you pursuing worldly and spiritual prosperity? Are you trying to have your cake and eat it too? Is it possible to evaluate the health of our heart by its singularity of aim? Our blind spots are different from the ancients, but they are no less real. We read the stories of biblical characters taking on multiple wives and we shake our heads. We know where that's going. You can't have 2 healthy marriages. Even in our sexually permissive society, polyamory and polygamy have had a slow go in gaining public acceptance. There is something intuitive in us that understands the commitment of love demands a singularity of focus. But might the ancients look at us and shake their heads as well? Do you really think it's wise to coach your child's travel baseball team when you're already a full-time accountant and serving as a Sunday school teacher? You think you could train for a marathon while raising toddlers, serving on the outreach team, and working as a part-time office manager? I've recently had a couple of conversations with dads of young kids who are ruining their dad bods and poor workout habits. Should we steward the bodies we are given well? Yes, of course. But being a good dad probably means that you're not going to pursue peak physical health. We hate the idea of missing out, of not optimizing ourselves. We hate the thought that our priorities would be more aligned with how God made us if they became a single priority. In his excellent book, You're Only Human, philosopher Kelly Kapik notes that because God loves us, he gave us limits. We are not intended to be machines, but are meant to have a dependent existence, to be limited. To have only so many hours and so much strength is a gift. We, the creature, are invited to trust our Creator. Even sleep is an act of faith, Capek says. We think we need to keep our eye on all the things in life we care about, but it is the Lord who watches and cares for our burdens. Because He is omnipotent and omniscient, we can give Him our trust, and He gives us His priority. But He has given us the blessing of limits, and so our gift is that we can have only one priority. When I wrote this, I was battling a cold. I decided to push through. I went to the gym, went to work, and then went to a dinner at a friend's house. Then the next day, I paid for my foolishness. My body was aching, my cough was work. I decided to stay home and take it easy. My to-do list didn't get done. There were bushes to trim, weights to lift, and groceries to buy. But perhaps on that day, I actually lived with a little bit more singular purpose. So often, I have pushed past my limits. I've tried to pluralize the priority in my life to priorities. I've tried to wrest control from God and make things my own. And in doing so, so often I know that I have broken trust with my one true priority in life. What does it look like to walk in step with the Lord? To have a single eye of health on the Lord our Creator and trust for Him, ourselves, and live in the blessing of His priority.